Boom to the hey, all you sports fans out there in the tubosphere, to you, the individual, as part of the collective. Welcome to Fast Track, Sports Rack, highlights here on talk radio version of the OMSR. I am your brief but concise host, Will, the alternative ESPN Sports Thrill. Always do a little show like this, let you know the clip order coming up, and the whys to wherefores. You get a significantly longer highlights reel that way, plus the quick e-sport rant of the segment. So we're talking briefly and concisely about Calipari on The Herd with Colin. It's all the video highlights courtesy to ESPN, everything else to the OMSR. Very well said. The genius of what makes him succeed at Kentucky. I mean, you'll love it. It's a great interview. It's actually one of the few dudes I have heard who sort of able to control Colin and his tendency sometimes to go off into monologue questions. So it's a lengthy interview, post-national championship game. He's not going back to the NBA. That's the whole crux of the whole premise of the interview leading up to, or at least, you know, all the other parts that come out tangentially center around, you know, why college versus the NBA if you have options. And I think he makes it very clear. Yeah, I would have preferred him being the coach at U of U, you know, when I had my brief stint there, than Rick Majerus at times, who was more old school, Bobby Knight, disciplinarian type deal. And I'm sure Coach Cal is like that as well, but he just has a mannerism about him. You want to do well for the guy, and he has it nailed down pat. This notion of the one and done. You know, so to close out on the quickie sport round, Colin's talking about, you know, college basketball is dominated by the one and dones. You know, I kind of saw a lot of juniors and seniors in the tournament this year, right? There's only a few one and dones who are worthy of going into the NBA. I'd like to do some research on how many one and doners declared for the draft, may have been drafted, and didn't make it very long, or who weren't drafted. Let's look at that number. It's probably quite a bit higher than the 4 or 5 dudes who have done well. So start to call it 2, and then you're through. I've been saying this for years. The NBA's got to make it to where they're sophomores. Alright, so that's what's coming up. Thanks for watching those silly DUIs while you're out there. Roll clips.
Known as the king of the one and done, got his team to a national championship again, and Kentucky had the 3 highest rated TV games in March Madness. Translation, they have become, not Duke, but Kentucky, the most watched, talked about, discussed, televised team in college basketball. Head coach John Calipari's got a new book out, joining us in the Herd on ESPN Radio. When did you decide, I don't care what people say, I'm going to get the best kids, even if they're here for only a year, and that's fine? When did you, John, make that call?
In 2010, when 5 guys were drafted in the first round. And it isn't just, see, people will come back and say, well, he takes kids that we're going to leave after a year anyway. Eric Bledsoe.
Your center yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, all of a sudden, we don't know who's going to leave and who's staying. But we won't hold them back. We're going to make it about them. The decision they make has no effect on the university or the athletic department or the program. It's about them. My team's going to look like. People now, because Willie came back, will say, well, they're going to have this and that. We still don't know who we're going to have until April 27th, when they either put their name in or they come back.
By the way, what is your discussion with each player? What do you lay out for?
Very, very short. I tell them I'm not moving you one way or another. I would love to coach you, but that's not why you make a decision. You make a decision based on, here's the information, what's in your heart, are you emotionally ready? Are you ready to be the CEO of your company? Are you ready to say no? You can't do power of attorney because you'll be broke. You got to be able to do all this. Are you ready for that? Are you ready for the fight, the grind? Do you understand that locker room is not a family like our locker room? Yeah. That dude is taking you out to drink because he's in competition and he wants you out.
He wants you to have a third cocktail.
That's right. I mean, it's just, this is a totally different deal. But the whole idea for me is information, and then your family makes it. I'm not going to be strong one way or another. Now, if I were, Colin, tell me what you would say if I said to a kid, you got to come back. I'm going to help your free throw shooting. I'll play you in a different position. I'll do this. It's important you come back. The people around that young man are going to say,
no, he's doing it for him.
There you go. And I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And they know it. I don't get involved in the agent business. I don't tell them who to pick. Because what if it goes south? What are you going to tell me? Well, Cal did this so he could do... No, don't talk to me about agents. Don't care who you go with.
John Calipari joining us. The book is called Players First, Coaching from the Inside Out.
And I talk about this in the book. The one and done, how we go about it. We talk about some Ncaa stuff. This stuff where Shabazz comes back and says, there are nights I'm starving. Well, let me tell you something. 3 years ago, I wrote about this. Why are we worried about food? Are we going to make these kids fat? That's our thing. We're going to be, the advantage we have is we can feed them so much they can't run up and down the court. Are you out of your mind? A seasoned athlete needs to eat 6 times a day.
Yes.
Not 3 between these hours.
So in Kentucky...
Wait a minute. We can give them a bagel, but we can't give them peanut butter or I'll be arrested. And there goes Calipari again. That's how he gets players. He gives them peanut butter. Yeah, but we don't. I mean, literally, you can't. There are times, if they eat a training meal, they can't take stuff up to their room.
So what time is a training meal?
Whatever the time is, 5 to 7, and you better eat. Well, what if I'm not hungry? Go starve yourself, because you know what? That's the time. Why do we do it? Because that's what we do. What are you talking about? All this stuff. How about, shouldn't we fly these kids back and forth between getting them to school, getting them home, and then another flight over Christmas? Wouldn't that just be the dignified thing to do?
Sure.
I mean, it's easy. Why wouldn't we do it? Because now they're professional. You say that, but it's not true. How about their parents? Their parents shouldn't join us on our Ncaa tournament run? Why wouldn't we pay for it? Put them on the same plane we are on. Put them in the hotel. It's $11 billion you make on this tournament. Take care of them, you ready? Instead of the media. Make the media pay for their tickets. Give them popcorn and soda or water.
Yeah.
And if you want a meal, guys, go pay for it.
Oh, this company's going broke. We can barely afford it.
I know, ESPN. I mean, so my point being, we can do this. It's just take care of them first.
John Calipari.
In the book also, I go, that's what everybody wants to harp on, because I said it's kind of like Russia, you know, when they were, you could see them crumbling, but they could still hurt you. And changes have to be made. And I really believe, because of how this has gone, major changes will be made, which I've been active about and verbal about, which is why, you know, sometimes I come under attack, but that's just part of who I am.
I talked to Mark Few, I know at Gonzaga, and other coaches. I've said, I never thought Izzo, Krzyzewski, a lot of these guys you see as college bedrock coaches going pro. I said, but something's changed. Part of the greatness of college is you're a mentor and a teacher. And when a kid's one and done, that emotional connection is limited. It's a semester or 2.
No, you're wrong.
So
that's what you don't
So you
realize.
don't think you're going to...
These guys came to the Final Four. They were in our locker room. They come back to campus. It's their home in 1 year. Now, let me ask you something. So everybody listening out there who got married after meeting their wife for 6 months and have a great marriage, what do you have to be, 4 years? A relationship for 4 years to create love and create a connection and have them understand? It all comes back to, this guy cares about me and what I am doing. I trust him with my life and my career. That's what these kids do.
So you don't get tired of the revolving door thing?
Absolutely I do. I'd want to coach these kids for 4 to 5 years.
But that's my point. Because you now have to face this new cultural change, does it make you yearn for...
Makes me older. Look at me. The last time I was here, you say, Cal, you've aged. You're getting gray. Your lines. And
part of the greatness of college is you're a mentor and a teacher. And when a kid's one and done, that emotional connection is limited. It's a semester or 2.
No, you're wrong. So that's what you don't
So you
realize.
don't think you're going to...
These guys came to the Final Four. They were in our locker room. They come back to campus. It's their home in 1 year. Now, let me ask you something. So everybody listening out there who got married after meeting their wife for 6 months and have a great marriage, what do you have to be, 4 years? A relationship for 4 years to create love and create a connection and have them understand? It all comes back to this guy cares about me and what I am doing. I trust him with my life and my career. That's what these kids do.
So you don't get tired of the revolving door thing?
Absolutely I do. I'd want to coach these kids for 4 to 5 years.
But that's my point. Because you now have to face this new cultural change, does it make you yearn for...
Makes me older. Look at me. The last time I was here, you say, Cal, you've aged. You're getting gray, your lines. And for me, to go to 2 years, have the NBA and the Players Association come together, give up a year, owners, make it a 3-year contract so the kids could stay in school 2 years.
And you get that lasting bond, which now is more of a turnstile.
It isn't even about that. I still think it's better for the kids. Now high school kids in society, 9th and 10th, 11th grade, know I'm going to have to stay in school 2 years. I better academically get my butt in gear, because for me to stay in school 2 years, I'm going to have to be prepared. We have a 3.0 grade point average for the last 4 years, and not internet correspondent. These kids go to class. We have an APR that's as high as anybody in the country. We've graduated 10 kids. You can do both, and for anyone to tell anyone out there, well, when the semester ends, they don't go to school. Not at Kentucky. If you don't finish the term, lose my number. Lose my number. These kids do what they're supposed to do because they have a sense of responsibility to us, and they're loyal to the program. I'm not going to hurt this program by not finishing the term. You have kids that have made commitments. I'm going to come back. Just not give me some time. It would be like us going to school and all of a sudden saying, I don't want to do it. These kids have a genius. Just like Bill Gates and Tiger Woods and Jordan Spieth have a genius. Why should we hold them back from that? Let them go for it.
I write about that in my book. His book is Players First, Coaching from the Inside Out, John Calipari. But you are immediately, because of your ability to accumulate talent, attract it, and turn chemistry around quickly. A lot of coaches don't. You're going to get mentioned for NBA gigs. You just are. You're high profile. You make chemistry happen. The NBA is really a chemistry league because you got the alpha males and
the biggest thing that's happening in the NBA is a younger league now.
And you're very good with young players. So, okay.
It's got to be, how do you build the trust? Because, again, now that player is putting his career in your hands. How do you say, yes, and we're not going to punish you at the end of the year when it's a negotiation time. Do less, you're still going to be fine. I mean, there are things that happen. The NBA is a totally different league. Like right now, my wife is on me if I'm not having the players over our house. If it goes 10 days to 2 weeks and they haven't been over, my wife's like, where are the guys? I want the guys to come over. When I was in the NBA, you won't believe this, they didn't come over my house. It just didn't happen. We're teaching servant leadership, and I want you to think about this. For an 18-year-old where everything's been about himself, everything's been centered on him, and you're trying to get him to center on everybody else, that is a challenge in today's world because they want it now. And it's always been about me. Parents told them they pooped ice cream, and they believed it. Now all of a sudden, guess what, man? You got to give something up. Less is more. What? Well, the only way for you to teach that and get it through, you got to trust you. They got to trust that you got their back. If you want me to worry about everybody else, then you better have my back.
John Calipari. There you go. That was great. His book, Players First, Coaching from the Inside Out.